All right, hello everybody, and welcome to what I'm going to call week 1A, kind of an add-on or a continuation of our discussion from Wednesday evening. First of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you for sticking with me for 3 hours on Wednesday night. I get it. Sometimes that is long, and we got other things we're thinking about and things on our plate, so I appreciate that. Secondly, I just wanted to highlight some of your professionalism I've seen already, both in your questions, but also in some of the work that you've submitted to this point. I think it's really high level, and I can tell that some of you are showing this kind of really high expectations for yourself, which I think is really, really important going forward in that we give ourselves some space to one thing is to breathe a little bit and not overthink it, but also realize that having that level of kind of high expectation for yourself will continue to make you a great educator going forward. A couple things for this week. First of all, there is no formal assessment this week, so assessment 2 we will get at next week. But we're going to kind of continue some of our discussion we had on Wednesday night and get into some more conversation about how do we really think of this as a kind of a well-rounded technology push, both for you in your classroom, but also for you as a tech leader in your school system. How does that look, and what can we do? What can we do to support you in that process? So we are going to review and comment on everybody's assessment number 1. So those have been coming in, and I'll be sharing those back out to you. It's actually on a slide right below where this video is posted. There is a review and comment section in Google Classroom that you can use to kind of go back and forth on giving each other feedback on their work. And there's pretty clear expectation as to how many to comment on and just general feedback for each other. We're also going to review the SAMR model. Now, I want to make sure you understand the concept of this in context of this class. I really want the SAMR model to kind of sit right up here for you as you're going through this entire course. Okay, now the hope is that you just try to push your levels, and this is more for your students to really work into a feeling of I can advance myself through technology. Okay, you're not going to do this with every lesson, never. And no matter what level you teach, the SAMR model is applicable. So even those of you that have a lot of the younger kids, finding different ways to push your students to think differently about what they do is possible. It's a stretch, I get it, but it's possible. And for those of you that are in that upper level, and I say upper level, I'm going to say 4th grade and on up. I know there's a 6th grade and 11th grade. What can you do to not just let them, use substitution and just augment, but what can you do to push that modification and redefinition? Like I said, not every lesson applies like this. So keep that in mind. It's not something that you have to put into all, but just keep it over here. Keep thinking about it. How can I push my teaching? How can I push my instruction? How can I push my expectations? And how do I give kids a little bit of leeway, some choice? How do they want to go? Okay. There will be a Google Doc that's linked into Google Classroom to kind of follow along with your SAMR thinking. Okay, it's not difficult. There are 3 questions. It kind of is detailed on slide 16, but there's also space in Google Classroom. It's a Google Doc actually that you can fill out to answer 3 questions about where you see SAMR in your current teaching. And again, it's not a judgment at this point. It's just a where are we at today kind of thing. And I think if I ask you those same questions in 5 or 6 weeks, you'll see yourselves changing your level slightly. I want to bring back professional learning networks. I think this is a really important kind of self-professional development place, and also a great resource for you to find things that make your job easier. Okay, so I want you to consider YouTube as a professional development place, a learning network, Instagram. I'd also love for you to look into Facebook a little bit. The other night I pushed Twitter, and I know some of you are a little cautious about that. The reason that I pushed Twitter, and I just want to reiterate this to you, is I truly believe that Twitter has specific sourcing things, and you can search down to exactly what you're looking for. So if you're a history teacher, you find that. If you're a special education teacher, you can find information on that. If you're a pre-K or a kindergarten teacher, there's a lot of stuff that you can fit in. So take a look at some of the Twitter hashtag ideas if you're willing, and just play with it. Okay, now it's really important you understand this is not required. There is not a formal grade that goes to your Twitter account. I have seen a couple of you have followed me, and I will be following you back. But what I'm trying to get you to do is just open up an idea of how can this assist you in your teaching, okay? And make things a lot easier for you. Okay, again, great resource, very subject specific, very age level specific. And if you're resistant to it, I understand, but just play with it a little bit, and I think you'll see it as a benefit. Um, then you're going to see some articles that revolve around this concept of what the best school model for tech integration is. Okay, so again, we're looking at this in a bigger picture right now as to not just your classroom, but what is the best model for your school. I think there's 12 articles. I'm going to ask you to just pick a couple in each column and take a look at them. And then there's going to be a Google question and discussion board that we're going to play with in Google Classroom after you're done reading. Okay, so you'll just share some information. It kind of details it, and you'll see the question in Google Classroom as well. But it'll just kind of you can share out some of your thoughts from reading the articles. The articles are short, and they just bring in some good thinking about what's the best way to incorporate or introduce technology into your school systems, and kind of put it in a mindset of what is it that you're currently doing, and then after reading the article, is that the best way? Okay, and you might say, yeah, what we're doing is awesome, and that's fine. Or you might say, yeah, maybe we need to consider a different idea here. So kind of your thinking, and again, I want to just make sure that you put this into a context of your system. This week's weekly technology spotlight will be from Danielle and Michelle. They're going to share that to me by Wednesday at some point. I think I put 9 o'clock on the due date and the time, but I'm not too concerned about that lockdown time. If you guys get it in earlier than that, that's great. The rest of you probably look for it Thursday at some point. It'll be shared to you as a place for you to review and comment. Okay, now the other thing to note about the weekly technology spotlight is this is assessment 7. So as you finish this, as you start working through these on your specific dates that I have set up for you, you're finishing assessment 7 as well. So Danielle and Michelle will have assessment 1 and assessment 7 done, by middle of next week, which is a great feeling as you get those done. So again, this is a review and comment. It'll be posted for you on Wednesday. If you could review that by Sunday. The last piece, and this has really very little to do with this class, but I just want to make sure on a couple things. Number one, I want you to take care of you as a person. I think this is a tough time right now. We are embarking on another level of transition, and everybody's treating this differently. Everybody's feeling different about what this transition is going to be. Some of you are going to go back to students. Some of you are going to go back full-time. Some of you are going to stay in your system, but you're going to start to see some transition. I want you to know that everybody's managing this so differently. So really work hard at supporting yourself, supporting your colleagues. If you have children of your own that are trying to manage this situation, what can you do to support them? Even your administration, please know that this is really tough on them too. So giving them a pat on the back on occasion is a really good thing as well. But I want to go back to you, okay? I remember this thought hits me a lot during these times. When you get on an airplane, the flight attendant will say to you, if the oxygen is compressed in the cabin, you need to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help somebody else. This applies right now too. We have to take care of us first, okay? And then once we take care of us, then we can reach out to help others. So really do some self-care, breathe a little bit. I think this week is pretty calm when it comes to expectations, and gets us into the class a little slower, and then we'll kind of build up as we go. So again, just to reiterate, if you have questions about anything, please reach out to me. I appreciate the phone calls I've received so far. I appreciate the emails I've received. I hope I'm answering your questions. If I'm not, push me back. I want to make sure that I'm there to support you in anything that you need to do and how you're going to do it. So again, I appreciate everything that you're doing so far, and I look forward to continuing to work with you and to see kind of how you advance through this as well as how I advance through it. So I appreciate everything you're doing, and have a great week. If you have questions, please reach out. Take care, everybody.